everyone, I'm Claudia Saran, the Industrial Manufacturing Industry Leader at KPMG. I'm here today for another Get Smart Industrials conversation, and my guest today is Patrick Ryan, our Federal Industry Leader and our Managing Partner of our Washington, D.C. offices. Thank you so much for joining me, Patrick.
Thank you.
We want to talk today about A&D, Aerospace and Defense. Now, these are two sectors that are experiencing, I think, relatively significant growth. We'd love to hear a little bit about your market perspective on these sectors.
Great. Well, certainly in aerospace, there's been a tremendous amount of change coming out of the pandemic. We're seeing travel levels increase to where they were before the pandemic. So the demand for things like new planes and even more around the manufacturing of keeping older planes safe and in the air is really, really drastically increased. If we focus on defense, there's a lot going on geopolitically across the world. A lot of it's been driven by the geopolitical conflict in the Ukraine, in the Asian space. The NATO alliance, which has now grown to 32 nations, has significantly increased defense spending, and that continues for 6 years in a row. Here in the U.S., we saw the DoD approve a $842 billion budget, and that's going to grow over $1 trillion by the time we get to 2033. So really all of that's driven a pretty significant increase for reliance on defense contractors and the supplier networks that support them. So they're continuing to go through a lot of change.
So we're seeing growth, it sounds like, both present and projecting into the future.
Certainly.
That's pretty apparent. I know your technical background is in the deal advisory practice here at KPMG, Patrick, and we've all come to grips with the long-standing macroeconomic headwinds that have been affecting the overall deal environment. Curious, how do you see those headwinds? Have they been affecting the M&A activity, particularly in the defense sector?
Well, certainly valuations are challenged right now with where interest rates are. I'd say there's two big trends that are driving M&A across the aerospace and defense sector. The first is the U.S. government is really looking for an increase in technology solutions. That includes cyber and technology, better AI capabilities. And a lot of the larger defense companies are really leaning on M&A and partnerships to gain access to those new capabilities. And the second one is, U.S. is a great customer. They provide a really stable earnings base. And private equity has gotten very wise to that concept, and they've begun investing in these assets because they provide a more stable earnings stream. So all that's driven a pretty good increase in M&A, but keep in mind it still is being depressed with a lot of the deal values. But as we think that multiples start to get rounded out, as we maybe see a little bit of movement on where interest rates lie in the last quarter of 2024, we do expect there to be a pretty significant continued increase in M&A in this sector.
So acquiring those technological advancements so that they can bring it in-house quickly. You know, I just attended our firm's Tech and Innovation Symposium in Deer Valley, and they talked a lot about those next-gen technologies that you just referred to, things like quantum encryption protection and spatial computing and advanced propulsion, and a lot of focus on maritime advancements.
Well, I'd say some of those are probably a little bit above my technical capability, but I'd say broadly there's a big pivot to the Pacific, that just the Pacific warfront we expect to be more significant in the coming years with conflicts with China and other nations in the Pacific. But I'd say the modernization is broadly across the entire fleet, that it's maritime, it's ground, and even more recently it's also been in space, that we're seeing a lot of M&A in space activity. We're seeing a lot of increase from the federal government in trying to get better capabilities in space. It's an easier way to be able to do more, to bring greater capabilities across the globe, both defense and more broadly. I would expect that to continue to drive a lot of growth in the federal space.
Yeah, we heard from a lot of experts about the space economy as one of our frontiers. So we're seeing a lot of technical innovation and advancement when it comes to sort of the heart of these defense companies, product engineering, new product development, being really kind of speed to market with those. But what we're also seeing in our client base is the ability to apply that same sort of innovation and advancements in technology is a lot more difficult, or at least moving a lot slower in the back office of these organizations. a lot of our consulting clients are seeing, these technical advancements are causing some stress on their already complex supply chains. It's causing them to even step back and rethink how they plan everything from sales and operations planning to integrated business planning. I think our clients today are looking for maximum agility across their value chain, which is kind of easy to envision, but proving very difficult to execute.
Definitely. I'd say before we were using the term AI in every other sentence, that was a big challenge. That even before the current technology innovations, most contractors were on aging platforms. Some of them were on-prem. They were acquiring businesses very quickly 5 years ago. Maybe some of those didn't get fully integrated. So the back office challenges continue to be there. Just the move to the cloud to have modernized systems, and you put AI on top of that, it is in an environment where the U.S. government has only increasing compliance requirements that make operating in the cloud even more challenging and deploying AI with our clients even more challenging in a secure environment. So the need to move for contractors, for defense contractors, is even greater than what it is for the U.S. government because they're dealing with a lot of deferred maintenance. So I'd say we're spending a lot of time with clients right now really trying to help them understand what is a modern technology environment in their back office, and then how to use that modernized technology to better deploy modern technologies and AI to the U.S. government.
So front office innovation, how are we applying that in the back office? They're sort of trying to cover all aspects, all functions within these defense companies. I know in this market we have depth of tax expertise. What are KPMG tax professionals telling you as the managing partner? What are they seeing with their defense clients?
This is a unique market for us in the sense that we've got a big, very mature tax team with a lot of aerospace and defense expertise. But we also have our Washington National Tax Team, which really focuses on what is the upcoming tax legislation and trying to help interpret that for our clients. We also have our government affairs team, which really tries to keep up with everything that's going on in Capitol Hill more broadly than just tax legislation. So we're able to bring a lot of expertise to our clients to try to better drive a tax strategy. The thing that I would say has been the most common in most of our current client engagements has been all around global strategy, that most of our largest defense contractors are global. They continue to see the need to be more global, and we're at a time where global tax change is greater than it's ever been before. Pillar 2 is a global alternative minimum tax. It's one of many pieces of legislation that is causing companies to change and rethink their global tax strategy and ultimately take advantage of some of the changing policies across the globe to get the right tax outcome.
Well, we have covered M&A strategy, operational improvement, and now tax considerations. Let's turn the conversation, if we will, to another important area, and that's people. In industrial manufacturing, I don't think there's a sector that isn't challenged right now with attracting and retaining really high quality talent, and aerospace and defense is in that category, right? I know that's a sector that leans on compensation as a lever for retention. The average annual salary in A&D is about 55% above the national average. What other talent dynamics are you seeing in this marketplace, Patrick?
Well, as you know, Claudia, manufacturing has been challenged with talent for a long time. It's an aging workforce, and it requires a really technical skill set. So across both aerospace and defense, the need for really technical skills is increasing because of all the demand factors that we've talked about. So things like engineers, technical delivery folks, project management, systems expertise. That's at a time where the allure of some of the aerospace and defense companies maybe isn't what it was 50 years ago, and they're seeing drastically increased competition from technology companies. Now, I think one of the trends that we may see into the future is that the stability afforded by defense companies is maybe greater value than some of the volatility by some of the technology companies. So I could see this being a trend that changes into the future. But the last thing I'd highlight is that it's also it's an aging workforce, as is the workforce for the federal government, that we would expect to continue to increase at only greater levels. So talent for us at KPMG is paramount. It's probably the most important of the issues we talked about. We're going to continue to see that from our clients as well.
And again, this is high quality, highly skilled talent that's needed
Very.
for A&D. You mentioned just, the breadth of technical skills and the competition for those skills. So clearly compensation alone isn't going to be enough to attract and retain that talent. I know we're seeing with some of our clients a real effort to reinvigorate what I would call sort of the purpose-driven foundation of that organization. What's the cultural DNA that's unique to that organization that they can message and market
Yeah.
to hopefully intrigue and engage that hot skill talent. But we're seeing a lot of our A&D clients tap into that senior workforce for some interesting things like developing curriculums at colleges and actually using that workforce to instruct those courses. And if you think about it, that gives them real hands-on access and visibility to future talent and hopefully starts to create some stickiness with the brand of that organization. So hopefully, giving them some early access to talent. We're also seeing A&D clients partner with some top-tier universities in things like cooperative research efforts. They want to bring leading-edge thinking back to their organization, again, to hopefully intrigue and help retain those hot skills, right? The people that are looking for that leading-edge thinking. So in addition to compensation, I know our clients are looking at a breadth of benefits in a more creative way. Sabbaticals,
Definitely.
Paternal leave, flexibility we all see in all industries around remote working. So this attention to what we call the employee value proposition, certainly in A&D, I think we've never seen it be more acute. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time,
Yep.
Patrick. Really appreciate you making the
Thank
time
you.
for the conversation and sharing your insights.
Thank you.